So do you know baby elephant syndrome? I was thinking about this the other day. Do you know baby elephant
No,
syndrome?
no.
So elephants are like super strong. They can rip out trees from their roots and stuff. That's like elephants are extremely strong animals. So how do you control elephants? Like you can't. How do you tie an elephant up? Right? It's not. How do you control an elephant? Well, the way that you do it is when they're babies, you tie them to a little tree, and they're not strong enough to pull the little tree out when they're babies. And they try and they try and they fail and they try and they fail, and eventually they give up. Eventually they learn I'm not strong enough when there's a rope attached to me to a thing, I can't pull it out. And they give it up. And that lasts their entire lives. So when they're big, you can tie a big ass elephant to a little tree and it'll stand there because it won't bother to try and rip. I could probably rip the tree out with a sneeze, but it's not going to because it's not gonna try. And I was thinking about that in terms of the First and Second Amendments. I was thinking like, okay, yay, you have this recognized freedom of speech. That's nice. But if we train you to self-censor and never use it, who cares that you have the freedom to say what you want? It doesn't matter because you won't. And I thought the same thing about the Second Amendment. And this is actually one of the things that I don't like about the NRA as compared to something else like Gun Owners of America, who take a much more principled stance on the Second Amendment, right? You've had this indoctrination regarding the Second Amendment, even from gun rights advocates who use arguments around hunting and sporting and like if you're trained that you have a right to own a gun, but by God, you'd never actually use it against a tyrant, obviously. Like, it's just for sporting and for hanging on the wall and for going to the range, and you just have a right to it. And it's a hobby that the founding fathers built into the Constitution. Just like, it's almost as if like the Second Amendment said, a right to have golf clubs. And it's like, well, obviously they really cared that we were able to play golf. So that's how it's viewed. And um and I think if you train quote baby America in not exercising those things, if you train them that it would be morally reprehensible to use your fire. By the way, I want to say this because YouTube will. I don't want YouTube to come. I am not recommending any specific course of violent action against anyone. Let's just. I'm not saying go revolt right now. Uh, but if you're trained mentally to believe that it's always wrong to ever use your Second Amendment to defend yourself against a tyrannical government, then who the hell cares? In fact, people can have guns if you own their brain to the point where they would never use them to defend themselves against the state. There's actually little harm in letting them have guns. It's like
Yeah.
if you can train the baby elephant Americans to never fight back, the Second Amendment actually isn't as dangerous as it should be to tyrants. Um, so I don't know. I was thinking about that, and I thought it is kind of like the baby elephant syndrome. I feel like as a country, you see it with the First Amendment, especially with I won't say social media, but you can see it manifest on social media. You see it in your friend circles and whatever about what's okay to talk about and what's not. I mean, if you're in like a mixed group of friends at all right now, if you're not in an echo chamber of people who believe the election was stolen, and you voice any sort of doubt that mail-in voting is not 100% secure, or any sort of doubt that the elections were not completely above board, you'll be shut down harshly and quickly and ridiculed and mocked. I mean, it is not an acceptable opinion. It's not like saying, well, I don't like Brussels sprouts, or I'm a vegetarian and I only eat meat. And like, okay, well, we can disagree and have a conversation about that. That's fine. You can't have a conversation um, about the election at all. At all. You're just not allowed to. And so you self censor. You just don't talk about it.
Which, well, I do, but I know
Well,
I
many
know what you
people
mean.
don't.
Most people don't. Yeah.